I expect that we are live.
We are.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I think, it would make sense if we go to our front slide, so where I can introduce today. I welcome everybody. My name is Kate. I'm founder of Kate West Gallery. And today we are going to talk about finding the diamond in the rough and what drives the collector decisions. Just because we have a limited period of time, only 35 minutes, I would like to go through the agenda so everybody can briefly introduce one another and talk about their collections and set some examples, and then I can ask setup of questions each of the speaker, and then maybe if we have time left, we can give some tips and tricks about collecting, and if we have even more time left, then we can even discuss some sort of topics, or maybe we have some questions from the audience. So I would like to start with the next slide to go through our agenda of the questions that we are going to ask each of our speaker. Today we have, can we go back to one slide up? Today we have with us a nice group of well-known people, I think, in the crypto space. Jake Brukhman, Jason Bailey, La Virgen del Crypto, you can call him James, Fanny Lakoubay, and me as a moderator. For the agenda, we are going to go through some questions about why collect art, how to collect art, something general, what inspires you as a collector, what are the obstacles, and at the end of the day, one of the speaker will be allowed to give one tip to the newcomers. So I would like to start with Jake, and maybe you can speak a little bit about yourself and about your collection. If we can go to the next slide, please.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jake Brukhman. Primarily, I work in the crypto space as an investor. I'm the founder and CEO at Coin Fund, which is a long-standing New York-based firm that invests in the crypto space. As my sort of side and passion project, I'm also the curator at firstedition.xyz. To try to answer the questions here, I think your first question is like, why collect this? I mean, I think primarily there's two reasons why firstedition.xyz exists. Number one is, I just love the breadth of, of the digital medium. It feels like digital art is really something that is going to be a huge growth space in the future. So I'm kind of wearing my investor hat. And there's so many different ways that artists engage the medium. And if you look at kind of the gamut here, just on this slide, you have photography, you have something that looks like generative art, which is actually a manipulated photograph. You have 3D, you have a tokenized version on the bottom left, Dmitry Cherniak's generative work. And then you have an animated GIF on the left, which is very attention seeking. So just the breadth of this medium is really wide, and the possibilities here are endless. And we haven't even started to scratch the surface of what's possible with digital art. And then the second thing that really draws me to digital art on top of blockchains are the social and financial aspects of this. The idea is that, we have a middle market of creators that have never even dreamed of taking their hobby and being able to monetize it on global markets. And this is really what blockchain tokenization enables for digital art. Digital art is uniquely compatible with, with that view. And recently we've also at Coin Fund put forward a thesis around how NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are really a form in the future will be really a form of digital property rights around art. And as such, they create a new asset class of digital assets, very much like fungible tokens have created a new asset class, elsewhere in blockchain. And so, so about half of my interest here is really coming from, the desire to support artists and sort of their digital art endeavors. And the other half is trying to help to change the world of art a little bit from the financial aspects, which is my background.
Perfect. Sounds very interesting. So you have a clear focus. That's great. Can I ask you a question? How do you think what defines a collector, and who can actually call himself or herself a collector?
You know, this is a really great question, and to be totally honest, I'm probably the least qualified person on this panel to be a collector. I've always taken an interest in art. I studied art in school and college. I'm an artist myself, but I've never had any formal training in, you know, in art history or collecting. It's all very, very visceral experience for me, and some of that might be reflected in what I curate, and kind of the other side of my brain, which is pretty mathematical. But what I'll tell you is that just like blockchain sort of democratizes the ability to create art, I think it also democratizes the ability to curate art. And so that's what I'm trying to put forward here.
Great. Maybe Jason can answer the question of what defines a collector, or how you define for yourself to be a collector in a different way.
No, I mean, I think he's spot on. I think you don't need to be part of a special club to be a collector. All you need to do is support artists. And I think what I'm seeing trend-wise in the blockchain space is a lot of folks initially are collecting as a form of speculation, where they think, maybe if I buy this NFT, it'll go up in value. But shortly after that, a lot of these people are being converted to bona fide art-loving collectors who care less and less as they collect more and more about whether or not their work is going to go up in value, and form actual relationships with the artists and want to support them and see the emotional return on their collection. So I think that's a great trend. A lot of new people that never would have thought of themselves as collectors may come in initially as speculators and then find that they really do just love art and supporting artists, which is great.
Thank you for your opinion. Does anyone else want to add anything about the question?
I have a comment on what Jake said about democratization. I think it's true that it also democratizes like who can call themselves like a collector, because it's more probably accessible like financially as well. But it's also it's sort of similar. People are like, oh, what's different with digital art? Well, nothing is different. It's really a collector of paintings or NFTs or digital art like are moved by the pieces, right? And we've seen a little bit of speculation as Jason said, but as also it's new, and it's like the people who stick around and like really support artists are the one who are excited about the creation of a sort of a new art movement, if you want. It's not every day that you get to participate into an early community, and this is quite fascinating.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to add anything before we move to the introduction of Jason? No? Okay, Jason, let's go to your slide then. And
Sure.
you can say a few words about yourself, even I'm pretty sure everybody knows you.
Yeah, I'll keep it short because I'm talking later, and a lot of I know this is sort of a limited time. I'm Jason Bailey. I write a blog called Art Gnome, at the intersection of art and tech. I am a curator for Kate's Gallery, the Kate Vass Gallery. Often refer to myself as a failed artist. Went to art school not once but twice, and found that it was difficult to make a career in art. And when I saw the potential for blockchain to help artists make a living, I got emotionally and sort of financially invested. I'm one of the earlier collectors, so I was the first collector on Super Rare. And Kate, actually, I was lazy and didn't make a slide, so Kate selected some work to put on my slide. On the left is Killer Acid, who a lot of people don't realize was actually the first artist on Super Rare. People think it was Robbie, who was the first artist in production, Robbie Barrett, who's on the right there. But Killer Acid was in there before they went live on their Ropestein network. So these are two works from my collection from arguably the two first collectors on, or two first artists on Super Rare. But I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. I have a special question for you. Can you please share with us, what was the last artwork that you recently acquired, and what was the reason why you have chosen that?
Sure. Yeah. Last night I bought a work by Maria Garcia, who I initially met through Dada. She's created like thousands and thousands of drawings of cars over and over and over again, and now is doing this interesting work around Egypt. And it's just really authentic and fascinating. I don't think you produce at that volume and these sort of unique subjects because you're hoping to sell a bunch of work. I think she feels compelled to create this work, and that makes it really fascinating for me to collect. Also, I'm sort of poor. I mean, not poor, but I'm not one of these whales that can spend like $50, $60, $70,000 on work. So you can go right now on Rarible and buy work by Maria Garcia for like 20, 30 bucks. And it'll make you smile, and it's great to have in your collection. So I still collect for fun, and I get priced out. Now that it's popular, I'm priced out of a lot of the other markets. So go buy some work by Maria Garcia.
Actually, we also included Maria Garcia here as a part of a Biennale program, Women Supporting Women. So you can also spot one of her works at our community page. So at Ephemera, who is powered, and we are moving forward to La Virgen del Crypto, who is, I guess, co-founder of Ephemera, who is also partner of Vancouver Biennale this year. So welcome, James. If you can talk a little bit about yourself and also maybe mention something about Ephemera.
Yeah, so my name is actually James, and but everyone on Twitter knows me by La Virgen del Crypto. I came up with this idea because in every Latin American country, they use a different representation of the Virgin Mary. So I came up with the idea that I had to create one for the virtual world. And basically, through the collection of NFTs with religious themes and elements, what I intend is to basically explore the intersection between art, crypto, and religion. And by religion here, I don't mean religion in the traditional sense, but just the devote, like when you see the followers of a lot of these crypto assets, they behave sometimes as if they were religiously devoted to these projects. And we can see some of this in some of these artworks that I have collected. So for example, in that one that you're showing right now, you can see in the face of the Virgin Mary, the Bitcoin logo, right? And then the baby Jesus is the Ethereum logo. So I like to explore that intersection between art, crypto, and this religious devotion. So yeah. And
yeah, I picked this work when I was doing the slides from your collection because I thought, it's a kind of a good example of the focus of a collection that you have, and also it demonstrates quite a good message.
Yeah,
you did quite a lot of works. You have a lot of works in your collections.
Yeah, I really enjoy the process a lot because it helps me to keep going back to these perennial questions. What is art? Like, I know that the idea of immaterial art is not new, but when you're transacting very often, with artworks that you cannot touch, it makes you question the idea of art more often. Also, there's this notion, right, that the market is full of noise. But what I found out is that the more noise there's out there, the more pleasure I get when I find an artwork that fits my collection.
Absolutely. But I have a question for you. If you, for example, browse around in a space and you all of a sudden found yourself a work that you really, really admire, but it has nothing to do with the focus of La Virgen del Crypto, what do? You're going to skip the work? You're not going to acquire it? You're going to buy it. Okay, so you're going to have a second collection which is going to get focused on something else, right?
Yeah, but I'm in the same position as Arnom here, like I'm not a whale. So I wish, I have many ideas for many collections, but I also need to, control my spendings, let's say.
Okay.
Having a very specific theme, it also helped me on that because every time I go to these platforms, I like many things and I want them in my wallet. But having this focus, it helps me also to control my, like the whole process of collecting.
Do you want to tell us about the work that you recently acquired and why did you pick that? Maybe which was not really in the focus with your collection?
So I haven't bought any art that doesn't fit my collection actually. The last two pieces that I bought, one is James Fox photography, macro photography, and it's a representation of the Virgin Mary. It's called Immaculate. I have it here. Immaculate something. Sorry, James. And Lux Priest. I've been following Lux Priest for quite a while, actually. when he started selling for like very low prices. I was already super fan of his work. I like geometrical figures, formalism in the art, and I had to wait months. And finally, he published something that fits my collection. So it's a Babel Tower and also a representation of a church. And I was like, okay, finally I can collect a piece. But like by the time he published that one, now he's selling for like 100 times his original price. But that's the pay I need to pay, to have these beautiful things on my wallet.
Do you have any expectations from your collections in the future?
I have many ideas. Actually, I have. I'm showcasing my exhibition in Crypto Voxel in a chapel. It will be great if eventually I can do like an exhibition in the real world in something like that. I actually did one in East Denver. I got invited by Jessica, and I did an art installation in East Denver this year. And so it was a mix of an art installation that I did myself, and at the same time showcasing the art of other artists. Oh, we don't have Kate.
I think we lost Kate.
Where's our moderator?
Well,
she was trying to.
It's here.
It's here.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're right. You're back.
Oh my God, I got scared for a while. No, I'm sorry. I still heard what you said, but I was a bit distracted that there are some questions in YouTube comments. Does anybody see any questions from the audience so far? Because I can't spot them, and I was trying to see these comments, and I couldn't.
I see a conversation in the comments section, but I don't know that I see any particular questions. Maybe while Fanny's introducing herself, I can see if I can pull any out for you.
Yes, now I see that. One of the questions just randomly chosen because there are many. Do you think digital art collectors is looking for something different rather than traditional ones? Who would like to answer this question? Who has a complete digital focus?
I can take a shot at it. I mean, there isn't any one type of collector. I had a big Twitter debate today with some folks from Snark Art who were saying if you want to make money investing in NFTs, you should go after established artists. And, for me, that takes all the fun out of it, right? So going after work that's already established, it's like, well, why even use the blockchain? It's just another sales channel for established artists, right? But I think you have people that, are excited to collect the old way, but via blockchain. And then you have people that really want to see a move away from maybe some of the commodification of art and a way to just build relationships with artists and kind of support artists and, and introduce a larger number of artists into the ecosystem. But that's the way I would look at it.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for your answer. We are going to look at the questions because there are quite many of them at the end of the session if we have still some time. But I would like to move forward to our lady panelists, because I was very much looking forward for her to join because, we usually dominated by male collectors, and I cherish every lady in the space. So welcome, Fanny Lakoubay. And I really, I'm happy that you joined us and that you also collect art. Please tell us about it.
Thank you, Kate. I'm not sure I'm like the best example of a lady, but I'll take the compliment. And it's a space that obviously was new from the technology point of view, but one thing that very quickly was reproduced from other more traditional world of collecting is that most collectors were men who would take risk and get more involved. Not gonna go into like why or how but I've been involved in many different ways in the space, like from consulting for like marketplaces or Snark.art and additional to CADAF from the time they were conferences to now like art fairs. And really like recently I said like, well, fuck it. Like, like there's a lot of like different like angles you can support artists. But I really do want to focus also on being a collector, because I did collect a lot of more traditional prints and paintings and furniture. And to answer to your previous question, Kate, like for me, it's the same like obsession, you know, it's the same like craze when there's an auction, when you get a work, it's exact same feeling and like excitement, you know, like that it's mine, you know. And it's like my collection actually, like I do mostly collect neither famous or like totally new artists, but people I want to develop or I have developed relationships with. So most of the people, even on the page here, they're people I know from their involvement in the space, and I deeply respect, and that I want to support. And for me, it's also a question of experiments. All these artists, and Jake mentioned that it's like a very wide range of like from AI works to actual paintings to things that are just like digital or that have a physical component to it. And all of the works on that slide actually do have a different story. For example, Hakatao Imago 2K2 that was just exhibited in Rome with Eleonora Breezy Gallery. It's a painting, it's an oil on canvas, and it has an attached token. The one underneath, like Global Reality by Bard, is actually like a movie, like it's a digital movie, but it's also, he partnered with Infinite Object. So I do actually have the object in my room, and I love this like physical aspect. I can brag about it to people who come. Like the one next to it, like the Artist en Herbe, it's just a little hint. This is from my daughter, and we've raised money during like COVID via CADAF. She sold like a few works, and then we did send like art and craft kits to kids who can't have you know, like summer camp and all these things, which she would never have sold. I mean, I have the drawing like right here, you know, but she would never have sold that. And to be able to raise money for like good causes via blockchain, via the digital component, and involve her in that was priceless. So I think there's a variety of things you can do. People who are involved, like the next one called Lapin Mignon, it's a really old friend of mine. I mean, she's not old, she's a very old dear friend of mine, was into watercolors and kids drawing, and she joined for those who remember, the additional community, and she became this like total crypto nerd, which is awesome because she's absolutely not in technology, and now she's like talking to me about like, MetaMask and DAOs, and it's great, you know, it's just amazing. And so yeah, I think I could go on and on forever, but
okay, I see a question that I would like to answer here on the comments. So Duncan on YouTube, he's asking to define fungible. What is a fungible asset? So basically a fungible asset is like if you have two assets, or if you have two assets that they're interchangeable and they have the same value, so that's fungibility. So if you have two $10 bill, you can exchange one with the other and no value got exchanged because they have the same value. Now, a good example of a non-fungible asset will be like baseball cards. So if you have two baseball cards, even though they are two baseball cards, if you have in one Mickey Mantle, that one will cost way more than the other one. So you cannot do that swap in the same way that you can do with two $10 bill, for example.
Do you think, you know, then the token or digital work has to be supported by physical? For example, you know, Fanny mentioned a few works which actually has a physical representation together with the digital. Would you collect that, you know, of both, or would you go?
I really don't think that we need to have like for example, conceptual art, right? So if you buy, for example, in Miami basil, right? Like the banana with the duct tape. The collector that bought that, he's not buying that banana, right? That banana in a few weeks gonna get rotten. So he's buying basically the certificate that allows him to do that installation in his gallery, saying that I own this concept. So what he's buying is, he's not buying the physical properties of that banana and the duct tape. He's buying the concept. So here we are it's something similar here in the NFT space, actually.
Yeah. So Kay, actually, I have an interesting view on that. If you pull up my slide, there's a Dmitry Cherniak in the bottom right corner, and this is a generative piece that he actually normally sells these works as, as physical canvases.
I have one.
Yep. And actually, what I got, what I was able to get here is, this is an NFT form of an actual physical work, but that physical work represents a generative computer program, right? That has actually created it. And the certificate of authenticity for that work is actually a printout. It's about 50 pages of JavaScript code, which I thought would be like really interesting if that was tokenized on a blockchain, right? Kind of in this form. And so what this work is actually a digital twin of a physical work. And I think there could be avenues where you go both ways.
I think so too. Actually, I have something behind me, quite a well-known one. The physical CryptoPunk. If you recognize that, there were only 24 of them, and they were originally produced 10,000 of them as non-fungible tokens, and the only physical form was produced for one of the shows. And actually, there was this conceptual work that that we have physical output together with their envelope sealed, with their access key to their digital work. So, the collector was challenged also to choose, whether he would like to open up their wallet or and to break the seal, to access the digital work, or he just, keeps it aesthetically physical together with just a nicely sealed with the same punk, seal on the envelope with not accessing the digital one. So I think it depends on how the artists probably work and how they unite physical and digital. But Fanny wanted to say something. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I think, this is, from what I hear, it's also like, we don't have to agree, it's like, as you said, it's like the artist's choice, and it's also the collector's preference, like, maybe Jake will go for like more the token, and you will go more for like the printed aspect. And I think it's part of the enjoyment, is like, it's the experiments, going back to like, geolocalized tokens, to like AI works, to like attaching or gifting a print when you have the token, or selling the painting that is associated to the token. I don't think we're at the point where like we actually do have and all agree on one thing, which is great.
Absolutely. There are some questions coming in, but they are more, I think, technical rather than probably Jason will be talking about what is crypto art in his next session. I guess he will cover majority of the questions which we have here. So maybe we can give some, talk about the obstacles of collecting. One of the obstacles which is solved is that the storage space, I don't need a storage space anymore, because if I want to collect digital assets, I can collect as much as possible, as many as possible. I don't know if I can, and avoid, the taxation, probably, additional or shipping costs or storage or free ports, and kind of avoid the borders. I think, this was a very good solution that probably NFTs has brought to the art market. The question is, what other obstacles do we face when we collect? Do you want to give any examples, for example, apart from price?
In my case, what I think one of the main obstacles right now is that the experience of enjoying this crypto art is still a little bit underwhelming. So in order to enjoy my collection, so I need to go to my profiles, right, on Super Rare and so on, and then show it to people, or go to Crypto Voxel and show it there. But I still think that there's a lot of work to do in showcasing this art. The consumption of the art, and not only, like having in a website and show it in the phone. So I think there's still a lot of work to do there in the way that this art gets displayed.
Okay, interesting. And you, Jason, what do you think is one of the obstacles for collecting?
I mean, I think it removes a lot of obstacles. I realized the other day that I think I have something like 100 NFTs. I obviously don't have 100 walls. I collect physical art too, but I think it opens up the potential to have a larger collection and, to be more active as a collector. I also think that that's why maybe there's a bit more liquidity in the market. And, if you combine, the old art world hates when people buy and sell artwork right away. They call that flipping, and it's considered like a no-no. But in this space, because there's a 10% royalty with secondary sales, it's actually nice that there's more liquidity and people can buy and sell and trade, because every time a secondary sale happens, some money goes to the artists. So I think it's mostly barriers that have been removed. I guess if I were to say a barrier that's been put in place, I have accidentally bought art that wasn't by the person who minted it. So that happens. And I think with this crypto community, it's often the case that people choose to go by anonymous names, which can make it difficult to know who you're supporting. So for someone like me, whose primary driver is to support the artists, it does sometimes add another barrier to making that connection when you don't know who the person is and you're kind of just buying based on some random nickname.
Absolutely. I think, that was one of the questions, also from the audience, that how important is to help protect and educate the new collectors in the space. And if we are seeing more fake accounts or stolen art in the space. From the experience that I have, we also see a lot of fake accounts and anonymous accounts from collectors. This is also probably an obstacle for the artists, that they face. I mean, we are here to talk from the collector side, but there is also another side of the coin. I don't know. I think, if you have anything to add to this question, probably.
I do have another. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Fanny.
Sorry, I didn't hear. No, okay. Just one quickly is really like of technological knowledge that you need to collect NFTs. I think that is like education and like making it easier is still a work in process. That's it. Go ahead.
Awesome, thanks, Fanny. No, I was just going to say, as an investor in some of the NFT startups here, definitely have a view on that. And if you look at some of the platforms in NFT space today, you might have like Foundation and Super Rare kind of on the left side, and they take a very closed approach. They're highly curated as to what kind of artists they allow in. They probably do a high level of verification. On the other side of things, you have platforms like Rarible, where we're investors, or OpenSea, which is a much more open platform. You can think of it like eBay versus Christie's or something like that. And unfortunately, what comes with being open is sort of the need to, to ensure quality, to ensure that everyone is respecting copyrights, to ensure that nobody is like selling work that isn't their own or trying to game the system. And that is a hard problem. I think it's just a technical problem. We're still very nascent in blockchain tech, and this will get resolved. And that this is also underscoring like why it's so important to have curation, right? Curators are the people who actually get to know the artists. Personally, they're sort of a vote of confidence in their work. They're also a mechanism to make sure that they're real people and they're producing real work.
Okay, we have one last question, but we also have like 1.5 minutes left. So probably, we can all respond to these questions, about what diamond did you find, but I think, we already talked to some about some favorite works in each of your collections. So maybe we can give just one tip to, to find in this diamond in the rough. I would say, From my experience, when you just go and follow your heart, and just don't look at anyone else's opinions, or what's hype or what's not hype, or what is the most expensive or what is most established, whatever that means. You just kind of cross around, and if you feel emotional connection, you just go for it. And if you can share one of the tips with our audience in another 40 seconds.
I can go really quick. So lead, don't follow. Don't chase works that are going up in value. Buy work that you love, and if you could never sell it, which is probably the case. I know a lot of people like NFTs and think they're going to get rich off it. I disagree. I think buy art because you love it. Don't assume you can resell it, and you'll never be sad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would say
enjoy the process. That's my tip. Enjoy the process. This is not an on-off switch that you are a collector or not. You become a collector in the process. So enjoy the process.
Fanny?
I would say, listen to the stories. Listen to the stories of the artist and tell these stories. I think this is also, very valuable, because most people are not like artists by training, and you can learn a lot and make a lot of friends in the community. So listen to it and tell the stories.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jake?
Yeah, just very quickly. I mean, again, for me, it's very much about democratization. If you look at the first two works on my slide there, they come from Yulitza Rodriguez, and this is someone who is an enthusiast. She's not a professional artist, but she's always been doing art. She describes her work as constant experimentation. In the first one, she's using photography. In the second one, she's using photography, but she's creating like this sense of I'm making a generative work. I think this is one example where someone went from being an enthusiast to being able to live in COVID and support her livelihood, using digital art sales. We also did an exhibition for an artist called O Savage, right, who is a kind of African immigrant, right, and was just like super into making art on his phone. He sold some works. He said it was transformative for his family. His wife didn't even believe that he was able to generate revenue from creating digital art. So that, those are the fundamental reasons why I'm in blockchain at large, and certainly this digital art is the highest impact area, I think, in that sense, in blockchain today.
Thank you, guys. I just got extension, but we can still have 2 minutes more, because everybody insists that we answer this question. Actually, what is this diamond? Who found the diamond in their collection? Or give an example of a diamond in your collection. Whatever comes first to your mind, guys. I know there are many diamonds.
Yeah, check out the works by O Savage. I could post some links maybe on Twitter or something. But we have a whole gallery inside of Crypto Voxels, which is filled with his works. And these are all works that he's creating on his phone using like a multitude of apps. And it's just like something inside of him just drives him to create, to take images, to manipulate them, to run them through these different kind of visual applications to create the work that he does. It's not work that you'll find in, sort of a traditional like fine art context, but that's exactly the thing that makes it a diamond.
Thank you. Jason, any diamond in your collection?
I mean, I always like the ones that I buy before everyone else is like, going in and buying. So I don't know. I guess I already kind of pushed Maria Garcia, and I'll use the opportunity to plug. I still think women are underrepresented and selling for less than they should be. So if you're looking for an opportunity to support women and get the diamonds, look for the female artists, because I think they're not selling for as much as they should, even in the crypto world, certainly not in the traditional art world.
A la Virgen del Crypto?
I would like to reserve that answer because I like a lot all the artists that I have collected. Yeah.
Fanny, would that be your child?
No, actually, but yeah, that should have been my answer. Oh my God, I'm a terrible mother.
Okay.
On this one, no, I would say like we're trying right now with Jake and all the artists who were part of the additional artists to publish them on Rarible, and I think this is kind of the diamond in the rough, because these people were not even artists when they started producing on additional, and there was no money exchange. It was just like claiming these NFTs, and now they're like O Savage, they're like selling on OpenSea, like all these platforms. So I think this is really like works that I cherish from like, you know, knowing them very early.
Thank you very much, guys. Well, from my side, I can only add, because I'm not allowed to have a commercial angle, but I can only say that yes, we also I also browse around, and sometimes I come across the artist that I have no idea who is she or who is he, and I start digging and looking and saying, okay, what's the background? And I'm collecting physical and digital works for quite a while. So I once I just looked around and I realized that there are so many female form around me, you know, hanging on the walls, and actually not only hanging on the walls, it's in the books by female artists, or works by female artists. And then also when I entered the crypto space, I also came across and met a lot of diamonds, but I have no idea that they actually exist, you know. And that I want to say thank you for this, you know, to the blockchain platforms, because we truly democratize the word, you know, to connect to the collector and to the artist. So to make a story short, this kind of inspired me to also support female artists for Vancouver Biennale. And you can all see on Ephemera, women supporting women. Probably you will see some diamonds in there, because that was a choice which was made by heart. And I think, you know, you might find a relation to each work, because each work has a personal story. I would like to thank everyone. We're of course 5 minutes late, because we can talk hours and hours, and we see Jason in the next 15 minutes, I guess. And thank you very much, and thank you, Vancouver.
I'm very honored to be in this panel.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
Angel, who actually brought us together today.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.